The human body, like a dynamo, directly draws electric power from the ether. Through lung and skin respiration, etheric power is absorbed, gathering at the solar plexus, the sympathetic nervous system's battery. This electric energy, known as the life force, then moves to the sex glands. Here, combined with elements from the blood, it condenses into seminal fluid. This secretion conveys vital energy to various ductless glands, nerve centers, and body organs. In females, the sex secretion travels from the ovaries and travels through the oviducts to the uterus. In males, the sex secretion travels from the testicles, through the vas deferens, to the seminal vesicles. The uterus and the seminal vesicles acts as a receptacle and is surrounded by lymphatic vessels that quickly absorb sexual fuel. The lymphatically absorbed seminal or ovarian fluid collects at the receptaculum chyli, then travels up through the thoracic duct into the left subclavian vein, entering the heart. This vitalizes the blood, enabling it to transform inert food into living tissue distributed throughout the body. Through the carotid artery, the transformed sex secretion travels to the brain through the blood, nourishing and energizing its cells. In the choroid plexus of the third cerebral ventricle and the pituitary body, it turns into cerebrospinal fluid and pituitrin, flowing through the brain and spine cavity, generating nerve electricity. Persistent loss of seminal fluid reduces cerebrospinal fluid, resulting in a devitalized nervous system called neurasthenia. During sleep, a new supply of cerebrospinal fluid is produced. Energy absorbed from the ether by the sympathetic nervous system, conveyed through the sex secretion, recharges the central nervous system electrically. After daily activities, depletes stored energy in the cerebrospinal fluid. Drowsiness or a desire for sleep occurs. Recharging takes 3 to 5 hours, and excessive sleep might dissipate the newly generated energy through uncontrolled cerebral activity in dreams. Through the sex secretion, elements essential for nourishing brain cells and nerves undergo a transformation from their raw state, obtained from food, to a vitalized condition suitable for incorporation into nervous tissue. The sex glands serve as centers of phosphorus metabolism, extracting raw phosphorus from assimilated food, chemically transforming it into their secretion for absorption and utilization by brain cells. Any loss of this vital fluid, whether voluntary or involuntary, depletes the blood of phosphorus, depriving the brain of necessary nourishment. Every drop of seminal fluid lost brings diseases, nervous disorders, mental decline, old age, and death closer. Unless the loss of vital energy, which includes the discharge of vaginal and uterine secretions in females, especially pronounced at the beginning and end of menstruation, is restrained, one is like a leaking vessel, continuously losing the water of life and consequently slowly dying. A seminal emission represents the escape of developing brain tissue. Past beliefs about two separate sex secretions, an internal one produced by interstitial cells and an external one produced by reproductive glands, were mistaken. The secretions of genital glands, including those of the uterus, seminal vesicles, ovaries, and testicles, form an inseparable unit. All elements are continually generated and absorbed through the lymphatic system. Sperm and eggs are not produced intermittently for reproductive needs, but rather continuously. They are absorbed by the lymphatic system into the bloodstream, serving an internal function. Any release of seminal fluid results in a loss of the internal secretion, which is essentially the same as the external secretion when conserved, absorbed, and utilized physiologically. Essentially, there is only one sex secretion, with the so-called external one being a pathological escape of this. Dr. Brinkley, the endocrinologist, says, "It is briefly my view that both the external and internal secretions of the gonads are equally valuable to the building up of body tissues, and that the gonads themselves are not merely a link in the chain of the endocrines. The gonads in the chain of the endocrines is the master position, And the well-being of all the endocrines is exactly dependent upon the well-being of the gonads. Defective thyroid glands can be most easily repaired by repair of the gonads, and so with all the glands of the chain. The thyroid, pituitary, and pineal glands, closely linked to an individual's mental and spiritual life, are directly influenced by the absorbed sex fluid carried through the blood. There exists a close interdependence between the genital and thyroid glands, as well as between the latter and the brain. Insufficient thyroid secretion leads to the development of a cretin, while decreased sex secretion results in a eunuch, an individual who is both physically and mentally underdeveloped. During puberty, an increased amount of sex secretion in the blood leads to heightened thyroid secretion, fostering rapid physical and mental development. Conversely, reduced sex secretion during senility causes the thyroids to shrink, resulting in bodily and mental degeneration. Dr. Voronoff writes, "No organ can preserve its vital energy and function to full capacity if its cells are not stimulated and vivified by the genital gland's internal secretion." Eunuchs furnish a very clear demonstration of this. All their organs are like those of the rest of humanity, with one exception. Deprivation of this one organ depresses, weakens the functioning of all the others, and brings on premature old age. The removal of these organs reacts as much on the brain as on the heart, the muscles, the bones, and all the other organs. The moral and physical energies both diminish. Abelard, the brilliant poet, never wrote a line after he was emasculated. In a pure and orderly life, the sex secretions are reabsorbed. It goes back into the circulation, ready to form the finest brain, nerve, and muscle tissue. This life essence of man carried back and diffused through his system makes him manly, strong, brave, and heroic. The suspension of the use of the generative organs is attended with a notable increase of bodily and mental vigor and spiritual life. Nature finds another use for the unexpended sexual energy in employing it for the building up of a keener brain and more vital and enduring nerves and muscles. In the genital glands of animals and men, there are secreted powerful and subtle chemical elements absorbed into the blood and then carried to all parts of the organism to energize, invigorate, and strengthen the cells, organs, and parts of the body, including the brain and nervous system. Some have gone so far as to hazard the opinion that old age is chiefly due to a lessening of the supply of these secretions. Nature has ordained that all the secretions of the sex glands, in both male and female, be forever retained within the body, just as are the secretions of the other ductless glands. The sex glands are the only endocrine glands whose secretions may escape, and we must look here for the fundamental cause of glandular derangements with their accompanying pathological symptoms. The normal development and well-being of body, mind, and soul